Serving the military during the last 11 years has given me keen insight to all facets of the U.S. military. I've served on both coasts and under the Marine, Navy, and Army bases at the same time during these last 11 years. My name's Carlin, and I'm going to tell you why the United States military is the world security force. The U.S. military responds with swift action, especially to terrorist attacks and other natural disasters. There's four basic branches to the military. You have the Army, land-based, very lethal, tanks, armored carriers, stuff like that, able to take out cities and move in through land and everything that a lot of vehicles can't get to. You have the Navy, superiority of the seas, watching merchant ships, ensuring they all are able to sail with little to no resistance as far as trade, mercantile ships, stuff like that. You also have the Marines. They are amphibious assault, basically kind of the same thing as the Army, except they're anywhere in the world in 24 hours. And then that's what they're known for. Few the proud, all that good stuff, all right? And then you have the Air Force, which is air superiority. Not just that, they go, they land at these bases, they set up, they drop humanitarian aid, just like the Navy does with their ships and everything else. All of them have to work together to make sure that every aspect works the way it should and that we're as efficient and effective as we need to be. Just a quick history lesson. So World War I, you had merchant ships getting sunk. We weren't going to get involved as the U.S. military until that happened, and when that happened, we got involved because it was innocent civilians going on. Who else in the world was going to be the police force behind that? There was only one, and that was us. Second was World War II. Now, we got involved with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. We were staying out of it, okay? It was on the other side of the world. Didn't want a piece of it. But whenever when the Japanese came and attacked Pearl Harbor, that's when we had to go and take care of business on that side of the world, which ultimately led us into the inhumane actions that were happening in Germany with the Holocaust and D-Day and all that good stuff. So again, we showed up as the world's police force and took action, okay, against rights that were wrong. Now you have OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom. That happened right after September 11, 2001. Terrorist attack flew into the World Trade Centers here on U.S. soil, New York City. All right, everybody, I think in this class remembers that, and in this audience. The whole basis behind that is that nobody else was going to do anything right away. We went without UN and the Security Council's approval. We found out who it was. We took care of it, swift action. More fell into that later, finding out that there were chemical weapons involved, stuff like that. Not on us, but on their own people, the Kurds and everything else over in Afghanistan. After that, you got OIR, Operation Inherent Resolve. All right, that's actually still going on currently. The issues with that, if you most recently can remember, there's been a whole lot of killings of Christians here, anybody that didn't believe in the Muslim faith at one point. But the biggest one was in Syria, whenever they attacked the town with chemical weapons and killed numerous children and innocent civilians with those chemical weapons. And the U.S. was there. I was actually on deployment at that time. We went in. I wasn't on the cruisers that fired off, but I was on the aircraft carrier. And we fired hundreds of cruise missiles in there to get rid of that base that launched the aircraft that had the chemical weapons on it that fired on those innocent people. The Office of the Historian website has a good roundtable about all this, basically. You can go in there, you can type in any war, and it'll come up. So speaking a little more, everybody has to operate among the UN codes. The United Nations were built to handle issues and acts that were cruel against humanity and people. The problem with that is not everybody pays into it the same way. Not everybody has as much influence. There's a reason why the U.S. does things outside of the UN and the Security Council. Part of that is this paper behind me, and I'm going to get it closer so y'all can see it. It's basically showing that the U.S. spends a majority of its money on that to make sure that they have a say in what goes on there. Okay? And the reason for this is that they're one of the original founding countries of this. Of the 8 founding countries, they're one of them. And if you look at the graph, I mean, you can just see the colors from back here. But if you look, the United States is the main one with Canada. Those are the only ones our color for North America. If you look all of Asia, including Russia, Japan, China, and South Korea, India, which is sparsely more populated than America, as well as Indonesia, don't even come close to what the United States puts into that. The reason I'm saying this is because we want to make sure that it's done right, okay? We want to apply the right sanctions. We want to have our voice heard. We want to be able to do that. And without having the United Nations at our backing to have other countries come with us whenever we go into these wars and into these attacks and follow through on these missions and stuff, is because of that. We spend the money. We expect people to listen, okay? Might not always be the right way to do things, but most of the time we go in alone first and waiting on the UN to get all their ambassadors together and then come to some kind of conclusion and say, okay, now we'll support it. Now the U.S. ain't the only one, okay? We don't just do things within the United States or things that happen to the United States. World War II, they attacked the U.S. September 11th, 2001, they attacked the U.S. Take Boko Haram down in Nigeria, for instance. They haven't done a whole lot to the U.S., but they're slaughtering innocent men, women, and children down there in towns. They're leveling whole cities or villages in that case and taking care of them down there. We sent in, not missions to go attack people and kill people, but we wanted to train their military, their police, to better be able to handle it. Because at the end of the day, if they can't handle it, there's no reason, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to handle it. It's their country. It's their way of life. They know it better than we do. We're just there to assist and help. But that's what the World Security Force does. We assist and help. We don't have to take care of everybody's problems, but we can help, especially when it's something against innocent people. Besides Boko Haram, you got natural disasters that happen all the time. The wildfires in California. Now that's U.S. based. I understand that. That's something that happens here. But let's take the Haiti relief efforts that just happened when the hurricane blew through. Demolished, 3/4 of that country. We were there. Humanitarian aid supplies. Same thing with Japan. Japan's a modern, everyday country, right? We have bases there. Whenever they had that tsunami hit that leveled a good portion of that island, we were there to help too. We dropped off humanitarian aid. We had an aircraft carrier in the area. We were delivering supplies daily. We were there to help with their nuclear reactor that had issues that was spilling into the ocean and causing, those kind of issues for marine life and people alike. The United States military has always been there, long-standing, and they're always going to be there. The website for the Council of Foreign Relations, or CFR.org, states that the United States leads all nations in humanitarian aid by more than $3 billion annually. Just to put that in perspective, the next closest group, as per that website, was $1.3 billion. So we're $4.3 billion every year annually. We lead it by $3 billion. That's a large number when it comes to some of these countries and our ability to get there. And I know that includes the supplies and the cost of getting there and everything, because it's not easy to mobilize a whole unit or whatever to go over there, whether it be the Navy CVs or a whole Army National Guard battalion or something to get out there and help out. But we spend a lot of money to make sure everybody's safe. That's the ultimate goal of this, is to be that group of people. Now, the United States has had a long-standing tradition of doing what is right when it's needed. This is not just a domestic philosophy, but one that's carried internationally and assists with the prosperity of any nation in need. When there's an ailment in the world, with an eye set on innocent humans, the United States of America has long stood by those men and women and children. And they've done what is right and just. The United States military may not be able to stop bad things from happening, but they do have mobility, power, and training available to help when another nation calls. The world looks for somebody when bad things happen. And the United States military is the one that normally gets the call to go and help. Thank you.